Welcome to POSTCAST. I have so many comments to what Ron just said to me right before we went on. Where'd my dad go to college? Where was I raised? How was I raised?
Rich kid.
Ron doesn't like my tie. It's, quote, too Ivy League. So anyway, how are you? Welcome to POSTCAST. I'm David Locke, along with Ron Boone. Your tie's very...
Oh.
Steve Brown might wear that.
That's over.
All right, so we're actually in a good mood after the Jazz lose 100-97 because I can't feel it. That's what Hot Rod used to say. Make sure you don't care more than they do. That was Hot Rod's great line. All right, so bummer of a loss tonight because the Jazz really very, very good basketball game, which was a fun, exciting, great game. And their offense just disappeared. They fell on the wrong side of an 11-0 run to close. They were 4 of 18 shooting in the fourth quarter. They were up by 8 at one point in the fourth, and you kind of thought it was going, and then it just came unglued a little bit. And, probably, nobody wants to hear it. Not totally stunning. You've got a team that's, as a group, played in a 7-game playoff series together that's had a lot of these moments. Cephalos has been at it, has been in NBA Finals. You've got a group of 5 guys who've never done this before together, and they, I'll have to go back and rewatch. Did they get tight? Did they just make mistakes? What do you think happened?
I'm not putting this on the Hawks as though they won this ball game. I'm going to put it on the Jazz if the Jazz lost.
Okay.
Because, as we mentioned before we went up the air, a few of the bad plays that they made, down the stretch there, but the looks that they had there as well. Those are some good looks that they just didn't make the shots. Gordon with a couple of them. Gordon misses three throws in the basketball game. So I'm going to put this more on the Jazz not scoring more so than the Hawks not taking it away from them.
One of the coolest plays of the night that didn't come to fruition, maybe sums up the night, is late in the game, down 1. The play gets busted up. Favors has it at the top of the key, maybe even a step above. Quinn's giving him enough confidence that he's like, you know what, just go. He turns the corner, and instead of trying to finish it, he tries to make the right play with the pass, and pass to Booker. But because I just think his adrenaline was moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, he threw a Clayton curse by Booker. Even if Booker got his hands up, there's no way he's catching that pass. It's a big turnover and really kind of swung the game at that point. And I thought that was maybe that's an example, right? Like it's great that Derek has enough confidence. He makes the play, but then he just hasn't been there enough. So he's going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he just next time he makes a better pass.
And that's the point I'm making there. The couple of mistakes that they did make at a crucial time, and I thought the dribble penetration move that Trey ended up losing in traffic led to, and I think, David, that was the 3-point shot that Korver made over Derek Favors at the other end of the floor. But those kind of mistakes, and then again the open looks. I thought Gordon had a couple of open looks, and maybe he was tired because his shots were definitely hitting the front part of the rim. Trey missed one. It just didn't. The good shots that they were getting early in the ballgame that they were making, they just didn't make down the stretch.
And you're talking about when you lost this game, you really probably lost this game in a little bit in the second quarter. I mean, there's a lot that took place, but the Hawks end on an 18-2 run. Gordon Hayward sat the final 6:38 of the second quarter with 2 fouls, and they just couldn't get anything going. The Jazz led that one by 50-37, and by halftime it was 57-54, 20-4 closed by the Hawks. And if there's something this team's got to learn is what do we do when the other team's surging on us? What is our go-to possession? In this flow read system, that's not established yet of what they're going to do when they need a bucket to stop a run.
What we're not seeing, David, and we didn't see it with the Hawks there as well. And both of these coaches come out of Greg Popovich's mold. And they're embrace themselves with his system. Popovich calls a lot of timeouts. I mean, he stops runs, a lot of runs with his timeouts. We haven't seen that with Coach Snyder, and we didn't see it with the Atlanta coach.
That's a good point. There were almost no very few run-stopping timeouts except for the early third quarter one by Boone. Holds third when the Jazz got going. It was kind of weird. There was a timeout 30 seconds into the third quarter, and so there's 2 automatic timeouts in the third and first quarter. There's 3 in the fourth. That's where when they played that shortened game, they actually took one of those timeouts, which would be a wonderful change to the NBA game if they could get rid of that third automatic timeout in the second and fourth quarters. But it means you have an automatic at under 6 and an automatic at under 3. Well, they took the first time out at 11:30. So our next time out didn't come till, I think Quinn finally took it at 3:09. And so we played 8 minutes of just high-paced basketball. And I do think if you look at the shooting percentage in the fourth quarter, everybody was done after that sequence. I don't think anyone got their legs back.
That may have had a lot to do with the reason that those shots were coming up short. And in particular, Gordon, who's been just on fire and online, you know, this whole season so far, even though we've only played 9 games. He's been pretty much on target, but even his jumpers were hitting the front part of the rim.
Alec Burks got his stroke back. He got 22, and Trey Burke played a good game. He only shot 5 of 15. He only shot 1 of 5 from 3. It's really surprising to look at the numbers by the end of the night and realize that he's right back at that 33% and that 20% from 3, which he's been hovering around all year. But I thought he played a good game tonight.
He played an excellent basketball game, I think, and just forget about the shots that he missed, the jumpers that he missed, because he did struggle early in the ball game trying to find that range, and I was glad to see him concentrating on just shooting the basketball and not worrying about 3-point field goals. Tried to get to the basket there a couple of times, but I think that's the key to him getting back on track and his confidence coming back, because he is a pretty good shooter, and he needs to have confidence to do it.
Jazz deserve a lot of credit. They ended up not allowing Kyle Korver to get a single 3 out of the offense all night. The game plan was great. Korver's 3s come on a loose ball kick around that ends up to him in the corner, a offensive rebound kick out, a transition pull up from 6 feet behind 3, and on a switch behind the timeline, Favors just having probably never been out at 30 feet guarding, needed to take another step closer to Kyle. Thought he probably thought I'm fine. Like, I mean, he's 32 feet away, and I'm up pretty close. And you got to take another step on Kyle Korver because he's that good. And that was the dagger basket of the game. So the Jazz deserve a lot of credit there. They wanted to slow down Jeff Teague. They kind of did that, but not really at 20. Paul Millsap was just fabulous tonight. 30 points, 17 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 block shots. So cool to see Paul have that good a night.
It really was, and you just mentioned Teague, who got most of his points coming in that first half. Did not do too much in the second half, but it was both teams that really carried the basketball.
Go to our question from Australia. Philip Malone checks in again. Welcome, mate. Cantor's plus-minus has been good of late. Improvement of different substitution patterns. Defense seemed better at times. I really think Ennis is playing much, much better basketball. Has been very encouraging. Frankly, I think you got to give him credit for plus-minus, because I, for one, have been killing him for his plus-minus for the last 2 years. So if plus-minus turns good, it's not fair to suddenly flip around and not give him credit for it. But here's really what's, I think, happening with his play a little bit right now is if you look around at the impact he's having on the game, our field goal percentage when he's on the floor is very, very good. Now, some of that is because he's matched to Gordon most of the time he's on the floor. But he's getting enough offensive rebounds. On the phrase that's kind of in vogue because Kevin Pelton started talking about of gravity, he's actually got a little gravity to him. You have to stay with him. He's going to offensive rebound on you. He's a good enough post player. You've got to pay attention to him offensively right now. It's helping everybody else on the floor.
Well, if that's the case, and then I'm sure Coach Snyder and the coaching staff realize that when he's effective and how he's being effective out there on the floor, then that's what you have to get out of him. If Gordon is the key to him helping out this basketball team, then so be it. That's where he needs to be. But he is, I think, playing very, very well. I'm loving what that on the post. I don't have a problem with them posting up him at all because he usually comes up with something.
The one thing I will say, I don't want to be negative Nelly, but he's got to box out Millsap. One of the key plays in the game, Millsap tips it up and in, and he's the guy there that's got to get that rebound.
You see that with a lot of guys, David, big men that just don't box out because they figure they just go get it. And if you're not a quick jumper, if you're not very quick, Paul Millsap is, and he entered the NBA, and the reason he's in the NBA is because of the way he started rebounding and playing defense.
Yep,
and that's it. So he's turned into a pretty good offensive player now.
So, Philip, I think Cantor's playing much better. It's very encouraging. In fact, all the 5 starters played pretty well. Everybody had, Jazz played well tonight. They just, down the stretch, didn't close it on the road against a playoff-tested team that's been together with a bunch of veterans. we're gonna get there.
Yeah,
you know, this is a lot better than, you know, this is progress, by the way. This is probably bad news for you. Progress is not going from losing to winning. Progress is going from losing to competing. And that's progress right now for where this franchise is. And tonight was a good night in a lot of ways. There's definitely moments where all these guys can look back tonight and say, dang it. And we'll see what they do against New York. New York has not been playing particularly well. I do not know what the final score of that game is in New York. Last check with 3:41 left. Orlando had taken a lead, 89-86. In the final, the Knicks lose again to go 2-7 as Orlando beats them in their building tonight. So we'll have an ornery, mad, feisty New York team coming our direction. Have a good night. Be safe.